Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Buckeye Politics. It's me, your favorite Ohio. So today we're going to be doing a relatively quick video about why I believe the state of Arizona is going to remain a Republican-leaning state for a while to come. Yes, Joe Biden did win the state in 2020 by about 0.7%. It was less than a point. It was actually very close. And it was only like, what, 10,000 votes, I believe, and Trump almost won it. Very narrowly lost it. It was the second closest state in the election, I believe. So Arizona, although Biden may have very narrowly won it in 2020, I believe that in the future, in 2022, 2024, and beyond, Arizona is going to be a Republican-leaning state. And it's not going to be voting for the GOP by like +9 margins like Romney got, but it is going to be like R+2, R+3, R+4, similar, in my opinion, to the great state of North Carolina. So Arizona. First, we're going to look at the reason I believe this is the main reason is exit polls, and just a few reasons that we can look at through exit polls. There are three reasons for this, in my opinion, and that is race, ideology, slash like independence. Trump got shelled with independence in Arizona. You're going to see in a second, and also Gary Johnson voters and libertarian, more moderate individuals in the state of Arizona broke heavily for Joe Biden. Those are the three reasons Trump lost the state, and there's also the three reasons that Trump is probably going to win the state in 2024. Kari Lake's going to win in 2022, and Blake Masters is going to win in 2022. It's going to be epic. Arizona, it's not lost yet, unlike Georgia. Georgia is gone. But Arizona, we have a shot in, and we're going to hold for a very long time. So let's look at the state of Arizona. The exit poll is for 2016. This was for looking at race. So as we can see here, in 2016, 71% of voters were white, and it broke for Trump 57 to 37. So Trump carried white voters by 20 points. Meanwhile, Latino voters went to Hillary Clinton by 66 to 28%. That's about average. You know, Hillary Clinton did much better with Hispanics than Joe Biden did, and Latinos made up about 11% of the electorate. So look at these margins here. Trump carried white voters by 20%, while Clinton carried Latino voters by, let's see, 38, 48, by almost 30 points. Trump got shelled with Latino voters. Let's look at 2020, though. In 2020, Trump only got 52% of the white vote. Trump lost 5 points. He lost ground with 5% of white voters, but he did 10 points better with Latinos. Trump got 37% of the Latino vote to just 28% that he got. Trump almost broke 40 with Latinos. That is very good. That is awesome. And Latinos also made up a huge portion of the electorate compared to 2016. Which is why this race was even competitive. If Trump lost 5% of standing with white voters, Biden should have won Arizona by closer to 2 or 3 points. But Trump did much better with Hispanics and Latinos, and as such, the state remained very close. So as you can see, this is the big reason, in my opinion, is that Trump just got shelled out with white voters. And so you may be wondering, well, why did Trump do bad with white voters? And the answer is because white voters tend to be, in Arizona, tend to be more generic Republicans, and they tend to be more independent-leaning. And that's not to say they don't have some populist views. It's just they tend to not be the biggest fan of Trump. Okay, let's look at ideology in 2016. So in 2016, 35% of voters identified as conservative. Meanwhile, 39% identified as moderate, 26% identified as liberal. Trump got 81% of the conservative vote. That's still 16% of voters that broke for Hillary Clinton, that were liberal, that were conservative, and 3% that broke other. And I'm assuming those 3% voted for Gary Johnson. Moderates is the biggest thing. 8% of voters broke for another option, and that is most likely, in my opinion, Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson taking 8% of the moderate vote, and Clinton only got 52% of the moderate vote. It's a majority, but Trump still got 40%. Trump held his own with moderate. What I'm saying is Trump held his own with moderate voters. And even liberal voters, 10% broke for Trump. I'm assuming those are like just working class Democrats, maybe in like Hispanic parts of Phoenix, maybe like some rural areas near the Mexican border. I'm not really sure, but anywho. As you can see, Trump and Clinton did about average with their bases, and Clinton won the moderate vote, but not by a huge margin. Look at 2020, however, if we go to ideology. As you can see in this election, conservatives actually made up the majority of the electorate, meaning that it appears Arizona voters, more Arizona voters in 2020 identified as conservative than 2016. That's very interesting to me. That shows me that Trump has definitely convinced a lot of this voting bloc, maybe that were moderates, to become more conservative, or maybe just more conservatives have moved to Arizona. Arizona has seen a lot of growth, and a lot of that could be from conservatives from places like Michigan, New York, Minnesota, California, the North, that are moving south to get away from the COVID tyranny. So anywho, as you can see, 35% of voters were conservative, 39% moderate, 26% liberal. That was in 2016. In 2020, 22% liberal, 36% moderate, 42% conservative. That's good odds. The fact that more voters identify as conservative than moderate, meaning that a lot of voters must have swung more conservative. The issue is, with conservative voters, yes, there's a higher percentage of them, but Trump got about the same margin, see 87 to 81. So Trump did much better with conservative voters. But moderate voters, he got absolutely destroyed. Look at this. 30 a block that makes up more than 1/3 of the electorate. Trump lost by by 2/3. Biden almost got 70% of moderate voters. Trump barely got 30% of moderate voters. And back in 2016, Trump got 40%. Trump lost 8 points of ground with this demographic, while Biden gained not 17 points. He gained what? 15 points. So Biden gained 15 points with moderates, while Trump lost 8 points. And the reason this is, in my opinion, is two reasons. A, it's Gary Johnson voters, libertarian voters in Arizona. Gary Johnson got 5% of the vote in Arizona in 2016. Joe Jorgensen only got 1%. That means 4% of the electorate voted for Gary Johnson in 2016, but voted for either Trump or Biden in 2020. Those voters broke heavily for Joe Biden in the liberal category. The second reason, in my opinion, is just white suburbanites who were the biggest fans of Trump. Now, Arizona certainly does have a populist appeal, a lot of rural parts, but you have to remember that there is a relatively sizable voting bloc in Maricopa County that is more suburban, and yeah, they're conservative, but they're not the biggest fans of Trump. That's not the majority of Arizona voters, but it is part of it, and those voters broke heavily for Joe Biden, the more moderates, and that's why Biden won in 2020. Those moderates broke heavily, heavily, heavily for Joe Biden, and they went away from Donald Trump. A lot of these guys sucked up to Donald Trump. They said, you know what, we'll vote for him. And some of them voted Gary Johnson. But sure, at least 40% of them voted moderate, or 40% of them voted for Trump. Not the case in 2020. However, as we saw in Virginia, I believe that we can win these voters back. These voters are mostly independents. They're mostly they don't really care. They're at least center right based on the percentage of conservative voters we've seen and percentage of moderates. So they're at least center right, which is good. That's great. So the thing for us now is how to win these voters back. It's by focusing on kitchen table issues. We drill down on Biden. We focus on illegal immigration and crime. That's how we win these voters back. And it's definitely possible. Arizona polls have shown Kari Lake and Blake Masters doing very well. Mark Kelly has done very poorly in the polls recently. He's taken a huge dip. Because of that, I believe Arizona is going to be a Republican state for a very long time. I mean, look at the exit polls. The only reason Trump lost in 2020 was because white independents broke heavily for Biden. We saw margins in Arizona with white independents that we have never seen. Like, I mean, look at any other state. I think Trump still got at least 40% of white independents in most states. Not in Arizona. He only got 32% of the vote. That's not good. That's awful. So with that, thank you for watching this quick little video on why I believe the state of Arizona is going to be a Republican state for a while to come. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video.